Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Iconist podcast. And today the iconic icon is Mr. Terrific. Wow. We're doing this once again, of course we Bayesian, we black, we hear it, whatever. Walk on. And then we're doing this for Black History Month.
Yeah.
One nation under a groove. Getting down for the funk of it. Right on. So, as usual, before we go on any further, we see who we're talking about. One, you know who I am. I'm Barry 3D. You can see all my links down below and find out where I'm going to be at barry3d.com. And any link you need for this show, the other show I'm on, which is A Touch of Gray Matter, live or online, the links are in my website. You can't miss it there. Also for the Iconist podcast. Quick shout out to Wow Comics. Quick shout out to Check Swings Comics. These are two supporters of the show. Thank you very much. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Add all the things. Don't let the show be a secret. Rate and review. Every Tuesday, we drop the video. Every Wednesday, we can find us on the podcast streaming services. Now, I can't do this show alone. So I'm always here with my best friend, my comrade, my compatriot, my cousin, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only
DJ Rod C. Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to have some fun today. Welcome to another episode of Icon. Yes. Because it is Mr. Terrific.
Yes.
Let's go.
Rod, where can they see you and find you and hear you?
Know what?
Tell them. No.
You can find me, as I always say, in the World Wide Web. You can find me on the Instagrams on Mr. Rod C, as well as find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Listen, I'm there every week having fun. Whole bunch of different parties going on. I got Wednesday shows, I got Sundays, I got Mondays. Listen, find me online, follow my schedule. Listen, when you come choose, make a shout out. Let's say, I saw you on the Icon. It's like, yeah, welcome in. And you can get a virtual drink. Yeah, that's how it works. Right on. Yeah.
And last but not least, the man that makes it look so pretty, the man that's put these templates together. And if you need something similar to this or any else kind of thing for your online show, live, business, whatever event you have going on, you got to reach out to our boy and you let him know you heard him on the Iconist podcast and he'll give you a discount. So once again, who am I talking about?
J. Bird Digital Art.
Jay Bird Digital Arts. Thank you, Jay. Big supporter of the show. He's always chiming in on all the episodes. He loves it. And here we go, as we like to say, let's go! On the Iconist podcast, as we said, the icon is Mr. Terrific. Woo! Now, we are saying this character is kind of a Black History Month. We're kind of representing the roots. We're going back to it. And you got to do that once in a while because, of course, they gave us the shortest month of the year. And it's also one of the coldest months of the year.
Facts. Cold winter. Cold. Sound old man river, old man winter.
Jack Frost dipping away. Good thing he's down someplace nice and warm, but that's how they always depict him. So we get into this, and I know there's been more than one Mr. Terrific, right? But the one we're talking about is Michael Holt. But before we kind of jump into him, we got to give you some facts on this one. So Michael Holt is the main person we're going on, but before he was not the first Mr. Terrific.
Correct.
There was another Mr. Terrific that came out before, and that was Terry Sloan. So Terry Sloan made his first appearance in Sensational Comics #1 back in January of 1942. And real quick on his origin, so he was the golden age Mr. Terrific. He was a self-made millionaire. He had a photographic memory. He was good in athletics and martial arts. He was what you call a Renaissance man, if the expression goes back in the day. So he was like a man's man of, out there just to come. I'm not saying he talked like that, but that's exactly what he carried on. And he carried on in his outfit, and it was he had on red tights, and he had like a green jacket over it with a big shield emblem on it in yellow, and it said fair play.
Fair play.
Because he believed in fighting for the common guy and trying to be as fair as possible and not being run over by big business and so forth. And that was it. And pretty much he graduated college at the age of 13. That's to show you how his photographic memory kind of played into the character, who he becomes and what he wanted to do. And with everything at the time, Terry Sloan felt that he hit a point in his life where he's like, I've seen it all. I've done it all. I'm good. I don't know what else I'm going to do with my life. And he kind of, I would say, in this day and age, he hit a depression and was contemplating suicide until someone else he saw was about to commit suicide, and he stopped that person from killing themselves. And in that moment, he found a purpose to say, well, I've got the wealth, I've got these skills, I've got this knowledge, but I had no direction. My direction is to stop others from going through what I was going through. And it felt good to stop and save this person's life and give them some direction. So that's really where Terry Sloan came in. And he, as I said, he started on Sensational Comics, Sensation Comics #1, but he was a reserve member for the Justice Society of America. So we're talking like the original run back in the day, JSA, All-Star Squadron. That's where he would pop in. And he had a quick, he would show up. He never felt that he was a needed character. Well, I guess, as I said, looking at it with today's lens, I would see that as he was still going through maybe self-esteem issues, not suicidal, but self-esteem issues, maybe a borderline depression. It's like, well, I'm here, I'm not needed, because when he was doing this thing solo, he was a man of confidence. That man went around with confidence. But when he was with a team, he's like, well, why they need me? The team's got like Superman. It's got Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Green Lantern. It had Dr. Fate. It's like, this is like Earth 2. Now we're talking, right? And he's like, why do they need me? And and I'm telling you about his journey because his journey is a catalyst into Michael Holt's journey. And I'll explain that in a second. So there was the Justice League, Justice Society at one point in comics. They used to do the 1-year annual crossover because this is when Barry Allen, at one point realized there was a Jay Garrick Flash, and everyone knows that classic cover where you see Barry running on one side of the wall, Jay Garrick running the other side of that wall, trying to save one person from a girder falling on them. There's even a statue of that. Very iconic. And that's there where the Justice League became aware of the Justice Society, where Earth 1 became aware of Earth 2 and vice versa. And then what they were doing at one point in the books is they would do this annuals crossovers where some of them were really good, and drawn by like George Perez and that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And in one of these crossovers where, the JSA would come over and, and have their annual dinner, it would be awkward for some of the members. It was awkward, for example, for Earth 1 Bruce Wayne Batman, because he's got no kids, but then he would see Huntress from Earth 2, knowing that that's the Earth 2 biological Batman and Catwoman's biological daughter. Almost kind of, and she would refer to him as Uncle Bruce. And he would, he would take it, but it would also throw him back saying, if I just made one decision different, I too could have had married and had my own kid and still been in the uniform. So these are things that came up. And in one of these crossovers, Mr. Terrific, Terry Sloan ends up getting killed. It was a whole murder mystery on the Justice Society or Justice League of America's satellite. That was their satellite headquarters back in the day. It looked like an egg kind of thing. And you remember it, Rod?
Yeah.
This is classic. And, everyone's sitting there, and all of a sudden there was an explosion. They see, Superman's there. They all try to figure out what's going on. They see Mr. Terrific's body out in space. Superman retrieves it. Like, hey, there's a murderer among us. It's a whole murder mystery. Like, clue. Nobody leave. Everyone's guilty until we figure it out. And what you find out was it was one of these villains named Spirit took over the body of Jay Garrick Flash. And he ended up killing Sloan at super speed. So before anyone really would notice it, and Jay Garrick got away, and that was a whole JSA storyline after, because Justice League, hey, you want us to help? And they're like, nope, we got this as one of our own. We're going to track it down. And no one blamed
Garrett. Jay Garrett.
Jay Garrett for it, because obviously it was just his body, but it was like someone behind the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah.
So this is what the importance is, and this is why we're trying to, and so this is like an origin story within an origin story.
Facts.
So that's where, Terry Sloan's journey ends, but his influence still carries on. So it now brings us to our main topic of Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, the second one, years later. And he made his first appearance in The Spectre, Volume 3, Issue number 54, in June 1997.
Right.
Gemini.
That is true. Gemini. There's two of you. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. So yeah, he basically he made his first appearance in June of 1997, and basically we start off with a couple of panels of him kind of like reflecting about his life. He started very young, as Barry was saying earlier. He just showed that remarkable intelligence and reading and being able to assimilate works of Albert Einstein, Max Penix, Richard Feynman. Very, very thought processing type of individual, theoretical physics type of individuals. People that make you like, I don't know if I can figure out how to make the page work. Just write your name on it. I don't even know if I can even do that. Yeah, this is like next level, above my pay grade kind of physics.
True that.
So, but basically, he was that type of individual that just he was very keen to picking up things very easily, picking up processing very easily. He just had that, as they basically said, a natural aptitude to retain information, see something once. Basically, it's an early version of calling it like photographic memory type of scenario.
Right, exactly.
He just knew how to do certain things, like complex stuff. As there's an example of one time where he had to, later on in the sense when he was Mr. Terrific, he had to do an operation on someone, and he just read a book on how to perform an operation. Just read the book. Yeah, I think I got it.
Just power.
Make way. Give me room.
Right?
Just wash my hands.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. And this is what it was really cool, because I said, and then that's why I didn't, the creators of this one was John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake. They're the ones who created Michael Holt, the Mr. Terrific. And why did it, and it's weird. We gave you Terry Sloan, for example, told you his arc. And then Michael Holt shows up and he appears. And when you see Michael Holt, you see that issue of Spectre, as I said, Volume 3, issue number 54. He shows up. And the Spectre's going through his story arc. So it was like a third part of the Spectre story arc. It was like, everyone has their story arcs within their own books. So It was like, let's say chapter 3 of the Spectre going through, I think it's called The Redemption. And it opens up with him just floating and turning back into his his human form. Because he's a police officer, or was a police officer. He inhabited that body. When he does that, he's kind of looking around, and it flashes down to another scene where you see a guy walking on a bridge holding a picture. And you realize, okay, that's Michael Holt. And he walks to this particular bridge, I think it's in Brooklyn, and he throws the picture down.
The picture.
Right. He looks at the picture, he's kind of crying, he throws it down, train hits it, and he's looking about saying, man, I've got all this knowledge, I've got all this, but I've lost the most important thing in my life. And he's blaming himself for it. So at the point, once again, he might have seemed like he was suicidal, but he was blaming himself because his wife was supposed to meet him. She was pregnant, and they had a discussion because, his wife left later than she planned to. She got into a car accident, which is fatal. So she lost her life and the baby. So he's lost his wife and unborn child. And he blames himself, saying, if I didn't hold my wife back talking and she left on time, then she wouldn't have been there at
that particular junction.
She would have been, let's say, 5 minutes earlier. So the truck that hit her wouldn't have been there. She would have already passed that point. She would have got where she was going safe. So he's taking that blame on himself. And just when he's just about to say, that's it, I'm done, the Spectre shows up. Oh, no, sorry. This is even before that. He's about to, he's contemplating, do I end life? Do I stay? And these gangsters show up, these three hoodlums, and they pull out and it's like, hey man, you know what? Give us your wallet. He goes, I don't even know if I'm worth, I want to live or if I want to die at this point.
Right.
And they go, look, we'll give you a choice. You can either live, just let us give us the wallet, or we shoot you and kill you, and we just take it off your body. And at this point, the Spectre shows up in his human guise, and he's just saying, hey, no, and he stops one physically, not using the Spectre's powers. And then Michael kind of just snaps out of his funk, goes and helps fight off the other two and survives and says, he goes, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And the Spectre says, let me tell you a story. And he gives him the story about Terry Sloan, because the Spectre knows of Terry Sloan because he worked with the JSA at one point. And even though they drifted apart, and him and Terry, I'm talking the Spectre and Terry, they came back together at the end, and he felt bad. And the Spectre is he's the avenging right hand of God.
Right.
That's who the Spectre is. The thing with, and I don't know what Terry Sloan, but I definitely know Michael Holt, he's an atheist. He does not believe in religion, God, none of that stuff.
Right.
His wife did. He did not. And this is where that argument
was.
So exactly. So he had a conversation. He told him about Terry's life. He told him how Terry was, past, present, and so to speak, future, like how he was before he became Mr. Terrific, how he was when he became Mr. Terrific, and when he overcame being Mr. Terrific. And, he got some inspiration from that. First of all, Michael saw similarities with his journey and Terry's journey.
Right.
He saw similarities on a lot of aspects of how he was feeling, what he was thinking, and someone to finally relate to, regardless of skin color. We're all the same, and how he relates to him. And he was actually inspired by saying, I'm going to do something like how he did, and took up the whole moniker of Mr. Terrific, Fair Play, did his version of the jacket, and went forth. And at first, when he came across, he just kind of had like a T painted on his face, and he was dressed all in black. So just a black shirt, pants, shoes, and a black leather jacket. As time is going on, you see he updates his look, which is cool. But this is really his first appearance in that, and going forward, and that's where he drew strength from. And decided, okay, I'm going to make my business to make people better. And his whole thing was, I'm going to look around, and he goes, I'm going to be inspired. I'm going to look at everyone here. And my goal is to look at the street level crime. And I'm going to look at these gangsters, and I'm going to show them that there's a positive role model around. And you can do things without having to rob people, con people, or scam people. It's all about fair play. And I'm going to show them as a role model, as a black man in this neighborhood, they got to have finally someone to look up to. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So he's being inspired, and he wants to inspire others. And that's where his win is supposed to be. Woo! Deep.
Just a little deep, just a little deep. But it's a good thing. I mean, in the sense of seeing that where they both came from, the writer made a good parallel to show us, we can still have some type of connection with the first version, the first integration of Mr. Terrific, and then how we can basically parallel that over to at this time, 1997, when this was when it was his first appearance, you can see how the connection is for modern times at that time. By saying, listen, he was going through some situations and how he felt. You're at that point right now, but he made a change. You too can, better yourself and just use yourself, for the betterment of those around you. So to me, it was a nice parallel, and just making, like you said earlier, making that connection from who Holt Michael can pull from, and just say, well, this other one, he was like that as well. I now can just carry on his name and just say, you know what, I like the name Mr. Terrific, and like the works that he did, and it makes sense, and got him out of his mental, stuck funk at that time, and got him out of that.
Yeah. It gave him a cause, right? Because it gave him a cause to turn around and help others, honor, use the talents that he had, and then honor his wife and unborn child. So he went from sometimes you get these guys who are created and you're like, okay, what's going to happen with them? And then I'm glad to see that DC really got behind this character and didn't make him cheesy. You know, they turned around and I mean, there's a beautiful picture that Alex Ross turned around and did of Mr. Terrific standing side view with the T-spheres, his mask, you know, he's got the jacket with the black with a trim of white. Sorry, it's white with the trim of red on it. He's got Fair Play down the sleeve. I'm like, that works. It's an updated look. It's a updated character. I like everything about him for what he represents. And it's really important to say, like, hey, you get inspiration where you get inspiration. It doesn't matter if it was who was the character before, and what color, race, creed they were before, who is it now. It's still honoring what's going on there. And going back to Terry Sloan's origin, Terry turned around, and even at the end, there was an adventure that went on, and the new Mr. Terrific was there with the Spectre to go through. And at the end of that adventure, the spirit of the original Terry Sloan comes through. And as he's retelling the tale, he's retelling the tale, and the spirit comes through. You know, when Jay Garrick got rid of Spirit,
King Spirit,
or
Spirit King, sorry, Spirit King.
Thank you. So you know, to get rid of Spirit King, Jay Garrick is there. Jay Garrick feels guilty of what he's done. He didn't do it, but it was his body. And you see the spirit of Terry Sloan come through, still dressed as Mr. Terrific, while they're fighting the zombie body of Mr. Terrific. And Mr. Terrific turns around and grabs the Spirit King, and he's like, don't feel guilty. This is the moment I feel inspired. You know, Flash, like, Jay, don't let the bones get you. You use your powers. The body's a body. My spirit lives on. Let's go. Boom. And he made Jay Garrick not feel bad about his passing. He turned around and at that time realized, all the time I thought I was not needed in the JSA, and here I am now realizing that I'm more of an inspiration than I thought. And the Spectre and Jay said, yeah, everyone looks up to you more than you give yourself credit for. So let this be a lesson for everybody out there. You don't know who you might see yourself one way, but people look and see you probably in a more positive way than you give yourself credit for. So take that as a self note. Go on with life and hold your head up high. Now we're getting back to Michael Holt. Michael Holt went and did the exact same thing. He turned around and said, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And Michael Holt goes around, and his claim to fame is he's the third smartest guy in the DC universe. Oh, I say guy. Third smartest person in the DC universe. Right. And everyone goes and makes jokes about that. And if you see his appearances in the comic books, you see his appearances on Justice League Unlimited, you know, Justice League. It was more where it had the short adventure. You know, wherever he's made his appearances. Everyone always makes that thing. It's like, well, you're the third smartest guy. You're the third smartest guy. Aren't you the third smartest guy? And watching all these different appearances with him, he always takes it in strife, right? He's not overly competitive. He's like, yeah, I'm the third smartest guy. And at one point during Justice League Action, that's it, Justice League Action, it's like, well, you're the third smartest guy. And he turned around and he goes, yeah, but who do you think made that list? What? He goes, I don't want that much attention on me. So I'm the one that made the list. And I put myself as the third smartest. So no one really bothers me. Everyone's always looking for who's first and who's second and trying to find them. This is how I fly under the radar. You know? Smart. If you know you're the smartest person around and you don't want to get everyone knocking your door, say you're third. You're still making that same kind of money. You still get that recognition.
There you go.
Right? And he turned around, and he's really good with cybernetics. He's good with programs. So he turned around and he made these things called the T-spheres. And these T-spheres, you know, they float around. They're able to hack. They're able to put force fields around. Depending on which version you're watching, they can change shapes.
Yep.
He can actually stand on them and fly around, you know, getting around where he needs to get around to. So I think that is so cool with this character. And he's been everywhere. He was he joined the Justice Society of America, the new updated one, and he was the chairman on it. He was part of Checkmate. He was part of the Justice League. He was even part of his own group, the Terrifics. We'll talk about a little bit later on. Can't go wrong with that, and his whole thing is about fair play. As corny as it might sound, he makes it work.
So many levels on that. Yep.
He absolutely makes it work. This is why I like this character. I thought it was cool, like how they really put him to proper use, and they didn't let him go to pasture, so to speak, when they created him. I don't know if that was a long when they did create him back in 1997 and have him going forward that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the smartest thing to still keep him active.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. I got a lot of admiration.
No. He's a great character because you pointed out about being the third smartest. That's ingenuity just to do that. Just to know, I'm already thinking, forecasting in myself, realizing, I'm going to be bothered, whatever the case may be. Let me just put myself on that type of ranking. He's up there as being, like you said, he's a chairman for the board for Justice Society. If I remember said it correctly. He's in the Justice League team and everything like that. He's a valid member of the Justice League. Yeah. So you have to look at it like if you need someone who has the science, the probabilities and the science and that type of foresight and that, he's the guy that they go to. He's one of the guys that they go to. He's definitely he's basically, in that sense, like utilizing the skills that he has. Now, again, Sloan didn't think, as you can see, Sloan didn't think himself as being up and on par with the other members of the Justice Society. But hearing at the end of the story that the Spectre told Michael, Holtznow realized that, well, if he was respected like that, you know what I mean? I can't come into this particular game. I can't come into this field and undercutting myself and I feel sorry for myself and realizing, listen, I got something to contribute. And that's the best thing that I like about Mr. Terrific, that he doesn't come out being cocky. He doesn't come out trying to say, like, I am better than all of you. He's not pulling a Lex Luthor. You see Lex Luthor's attitude. You see Lex Luthor, how he is on Justice, on the Justice League cartoon show, how he is. Like, because that's Lex. He's cocky like that. Just as intellect as Mr. Terrific, but you realize he's the polar opposite. That's a very good character to have, and a good thing that to bring up. So.
Exactly, and this is what I was just looking up. So I know, like, for example, when we're going to the Spectre. So the Spectre, right, was Jim Corrigan. So that's the Spectre that he's dealing with. He's dealing with the Jim Corrigan Spectre. That's the identity he turns into. Now, what gets me, and I said, for as smart as he is, I'll say he's a little bit dumb.
Why is that?
Very simple. If you see something happen in front of you, regardless of what you might view it or your thoughts are, wouldn't it make you think twice about certain things? Reanalyze certain things? Like if you're walking down the street and you see a guy flying like Superman, your first thing to do is, okay, well, are they filming a movie? You're looking for wires. And then you realize in time, this guy flies down beside you. You realize there's no wires. There's nothing. You're seeing with your own two eyes. It's not a magic trick. And then you see other people starting to fly and do certain things. You're like, okay, something there. So I understand from Michael, he likes to explain the science behind it. He's an atheist, granted. Which I found really interesting is that his appearance happened in the Spectre, who's the avenging hand of God. So clearly you're seeing a guy who is the avenging hand of God. I mean, he's a version of an angel, lack of a better saying, right? If I had to put it in a broad category. So you're there and you see this with your own eyes. But he still has that atheist mentality. With the League, with the Society, he's dealt with the new gods. He's seen them. He knows, like, Orion and Darkseid, they're new gods, even though they might be more science things behind them. They're still gods. He's dealt with Wonder Woman, who is from a pantheon from Greek gods. And he's seen Zeus. I'm not saying he's had a full-out conversation like, hey, let's sit down and have tea. But that's why I say he's a little bit foolish. How can you still be atheist if you see signs of other gods?
Well, I see what you're saying, but you see, like, there's a little bit, like, I was digging up a little bit, and I just see just a he's fighting among himself on that, and that's a nice thing in how they're giving this character the understanding that he's atheist, his wife is religious. Again, he blames how he feels about along that line. there's a quib right here that when during the Thy Kingdom Come on Earth 2, Michael Holt is actually ironically a priest, and after he experienced a religious experience. Oh. Now our Holt, from Earth 1, basically says that he realized that the issues he's having with faith stems from his inability to understand. Literally what you're saying. Confessing that he wants to believe, but something inside him will not let him. So at least I would just say in the beginning, he may have been started off as an atheist, but he can tell that if it was an atheist, he wouldn't have any type of belief system. At least he's trying to, the science in him, the scientist in him is literally trying to find an answer. So you're absolutely correct. You can see him being like, dumb, yeah, but I mean, he's trying to figure it out. He's trying to figure it out. But at least here's how I would look at it: that if he can look at all having, humanoids flying. Let's just pull it back. So we got humanoids flying out. He understands that he's interacting with different aliens and stuff like that. So he's interacting with Martian Manhunter, Superman, the Green Lantern Corps, so alien base type of, so he has to understand, well, there's science behind it. The ring, of course, that's the science behind it.
Of course, yeah.
Struck by willpower.
Right. Yes.
But he has to have to understand it. There's certain things that he can explain and certain things he can't explain. But he needs to have an explanation for everything. But I feel that he still has some type of belief. At least seeing that, because I thought I saw it somewhere, but while you were mentioning it, I was looking, I know I saw it somewhere. So he wants to believe that there's something out there. It's just he knows it's within him.
Inside of him that's stopping him.
Yeah, he can't just. It's in gray mode. It's like there's no white and black to him. Like he has to get the transition from one side to the other. So he's just stuck in a loophole in a landing formation, just trying to figure that out.
Right. It could be a very simple thing that he doesn't believe in God because he lost his wife. Right.
Facts.
And that's exactly it. Then I'm not trying to have we're not trying to have.
No.
I find this really an interesting aspect of the character that he came up in a book that was the Spectre is a
facts
is a hero of he's avenging the hand of God.
God, yeah.
But you come up and say, hey man, let me tell you about somebody. Oh, by the way, I'm atheist. Go on. I'm inspired. I will make the jacket. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to be the new Mr. Terrific. But hold on. I'm atheist. Man can fly. Men run through walls. Man flies from outer space. Hold on. Still atheist. Who are you? Use Orion. Use Big Barda. Got it. Dark side. Okay. Still atheist.
Yes.
Right. You know what I mean? Who are you? Oh, you're Carter Hall. You've been reincarnated from Egyptian Prince Khufu. Got it. I see you. You reincarnate all the time. Okay, still atheist. Oh, okay. Why are you being so stubborn? And I'm not.
No, but it's once you lay it out like that, yes. It's just hard to like. Michael, do me a favor. Just think about it. But at least it shows that he's trying to believe. But I realize something's not letting him. But yes. you are so correct. Like I'm saying, I wasn't getting that deep in the sense of the amount of but here, next piece of paper, but here. Michael, you sure you don't want to reevaluate this piece of information right here?
Can we look twice? I mean, be like special ed. Think about it.
Measure twice, cut once. Come on, measure again. Let's go.
Yes, if all you all go on Google and Spotify special ed, think about it. You'll be happy. Good old school rap. So here we go. So that brings me to a point. So all the time, it's like he's got all these things pretty much right in front of him. But I'm not knocking this. That's the character. His science and religion and how he weaves his way in and out of it and how he makes sense out of it going forward. And that's a good eternal strife that leads to good, great storylines done and handled properly. Don't go for a low hanging fruit. Don't make him he starts off that way in issue number 1 and issue number 3. I've changed my ways. No, I don't want him to change his ways, but I want him really to explore that, and that's some character development.
Facts. There's enough layers that you can peel away and explain things while he learns while he understands, and for him to get a better understanding from himself. There are different layers through that character that he can there's like you said, there's enough story. There's enough
There's
enough stuff
stories that even I'm not smart enough to write. Okay, that I think of. This is what we
facts. But it's facts. It's facts. This is why this character is good. So as you can kind of tell by our nice way of conversating, DC, Mr. Terrific, DC. Y'all know each other.
Huh.
Okay, let's
Think
go.
about it. Special ed. Right on. I'm gonna plug him. Why not? So now this is when it comes in. So now at one point he goes through his journey, and even then they're not done with him. When they did the New Age of Heroes in DC, and they're trying to do like a couple of new characters or new variations of characters or just a new outlook. Mr. Terrific was one of them. He was the forefront of this one, and he ran a team, and the comic book was called The Terrifics. Why?
Got it.
Mr. Terrific. And
why not?
DC's version, I don't care what anyone will say, of the Fantastic Four. So Mr. Terrific was on that team, and he was the Reed Richards of that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Followed with Plastic Man, because this was after the Dark Metal storyline. So Plastic Man was a comatose in an egg shape, almost like Silly Putty egg shape. That's what he reminded me of. And he comes out of it during the story. And I'm like, okay. And his character is like the Johnny Storm kind of character, the very juvenile jokester of the team.
Right.
Then you have a version of Phantom Girl. So yeah, everyone knows Phantom Girl from the Legion of Superheroes, but this is her predecessor. She's present time. Phantom Girl from the future will be her descendant.
Right.
Legion of Superheroes. So she's Phantom Girl is on there. They find her. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like your Sue Storm because she can turn intangible. But when she turns tangible in the first earlier issues and she touches matter, it causes it to explode. It's all part of the storyline. And then, of course, you have the Thing character, which is, I always mispronounce his name. I'm going to say, not Mephisto. Metamorph.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He turns around and he's there as a Thing character. And he, of course, can change into different elements and chemical compounds and all that. So that there is their team. And what happens is three of them, issue number 1 opens up with Mr. Terrific showing up to Stag, right? Mr. Stag's building or whatever, because Stag Industries bought all of Holt's company because he was away in a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
He bought it legally. And this gets into Metamorph, who's there. And they're using his body to get into the dark universe, which is, like the negative universe for Marvel. And they go on an adventure and they do that. And they ended up rescuing, Phantom Girl from that dark universe, bringing her back. And then they realize, due to circumstances, they can't get away from each other. They can't be more than a mile physically away from each other. Those four, they got bonded together. But in that universe, they almost run into a Galactus figure where they find, Phantom Girl at, right? They take this antenna, which kind of bonds them together. So it's a lot of parallels of exploring the dark universe through them. Stag gives them a place to stay and work out of because Holt's company at the time has been bought. I love the art with the Terrifics. I love the style of it, the pacing of the story. I thought it was good. It ran for like 33 issues, and you can find it in your stores. I was really, for a concept that was almost done before, it was still nice to see their DC's version of it, and it wasn't just a cheap knockoff. In a way, you can see a lot of parallels and things that kind of line up. Going, okay, but they still had their own take of it, right? You saw their version of like what could have been Galactus's dead body. The negative, not the negative zone, but that dark matter universe, right? And how that kind of parallels and all of that crossovers one way or the other. So I enjoyed reading the Terrifics. It had its humor, it had its good moments, it had its character building moments. I think it's a team that could have gone on. It's like 4 people you would not have thought that would go together, but they got together. And when you expand it, it really was, Michael Holt's dealing with his thing and going through that universe. You see other people join later on. So you saw the appearance, for example, of Plastic Man's son, who he hasn't seen in years. And he's like a grown teenager and trying to mend that relationship. You see Metamorph, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. I always mispronounce his name, but he's in there and he's trying to mend things with his girlfriend, who's the father of Stag, who's always trying to shaft him, like trying to shaft Rex, and put him in situations where he's trying to get him killed off. You know, Jabba the caveman, he's not stupid, he's very smart, even though he's got a caveman body and frozen. So there's a lot of quirkiness, but there's fun stuff to it also. I like the Terrifics. I think it was a good, as I said, 33 issues. It could have gone more. Everyone looks at it as a DC version of Fantastic Four, but even though it was let's put it away, Aquaman, Namor, right? Okay, Batman and who's not oh my god, he's from the Defenders, like Nightwing, not Nightwing. It's Nightwing, I think it is. I could be wrong. It's been a long day. I'm just saying, every Green Arrow, Hawkeye, every DC Marvel character, one is before the other one. Thanos, Darkseid, who came first, chicken and egg. It does come down to. So yeah, they have their Fantastic Four, and there's other ones. I mean, there's Challenges of the Unknown, but these are more along the lines because these are superpowered beings, four of them together, with this, even the other characters that were there in the background to form the Terrific, right? The secondary characters.
Right.
I liked the look of it. I liked the art of it. I liked the pacing of it. And everyone had their own motivation, but they worked together and they were there as explorers. The only thing is they weren't really a family, but they couldn't be physically more than a mile away from each other. Yeah.
Got it. Right. That was a lot.
Yeah, I know it was a lot. I got
No, but it was good. I like, you were saying certain things, and I think I honestly did forget about the Teen Terrific, like that part where you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's right. So I was just like, okay. I'm doing a little searching here. I'm like, okay, I got you.
The way I look at it is like, if you got all these characters, I mean, all comic book companies have these characters, right? Be it if it's DC, Image, Top Cow, Dark Horse, whatever. They have a lot of characters that sometimes they don't stand enough on their own. So if you find a smart way to bring them together, even though people might say that's the weirdest pairing around. Oh, okay. Well, Plastic Man, Mr. Terrific, Metamorph, and Phantom Girl. Okay, these were just four random characters. They pulled them together, and everyone likes each one for a different reason. Put them together in a book, see how it goes. Well, they ran 33 issues. Calculate this way, right? 12 issues usually come out in a year, so it's 33 issues with an annual. So that means they ran for almost 3 years and had an annual involved in that. And of course, it crisscrossed with storylines. If you got 3 years of sales going with that, that was a smart move, and it makes everyone better because it wasn't a cheesy run.
Right.
Even though you're watching and reading something like DC version of Fantastic Four, okay, we got past that. Let's see what you're going to do.
Right. And how many episodes? 30?
33.
33? Yeah, 33. I think they did well. I think they did okay. I think they did all right. Just say.
I still wanted to come back. I want them to bring that team back. It was fun. They even added on more people because in one of the storylines, he gets into one of the universes because he's kind of universe hopping at one point. And he ends up in one universe where he sees Miss Terrific, where in that universe, Michael Holt died, but his wife survived. And she took on the role of, Miss Terrific. So she's dressed exactly the same as him. Right. The only thing is, she doesn't have T spheres. She's got T squares or T cubes. But they're both looking. He's like, you're my husband. You're my wife. Let's think about this. They almost kind of rekindled them romance because their significant others in their universes died. But once again, what would you do if your wife passed away or your husband passed away and you go to a different dimension and you see them and you're like, hey, the opposite of you passed away. Does this mean we should get together and just go on and live our lives and be happy?
Correct. It is possible.
Right? That's what it comes down to. So here we are. We get down to our favorite point here. Fan casting time. Unless Ron, you got a more point on this one? Or?
You know what? No, I think you covered a good amount. And I mean, seriously, I don't think there's anything else you can say. Regarding his, you know what? You might have just mentioned in regards his, no, you did everything. I remember. I'm not looking about the abilities. No. I'm just thinking about the abilities and stuff like that. But we already talked about that. He has a Napier ability to just, pick up complex skills and just, certain situations and stuff like that and be able to just pick it up as is. He's the third smartest man as per him.
Exactly.
Smart guy. He has his T-spheres. Basically also, one also thing, depending, if you're going to do the animated version or even the live one. Man. Well, in regards to his face, in regards that his mask it's as much as it's simply you're looking at it, it's like a nanotech type of scenario. You put it onto his face and it just basically makes out the shape of T and a black type of thing on his face. And that's like nanotech. And it just basically, as much as you think you can see him, it basically, it does give that type of allure type of thing. So you can't really make out his face properly. So it helps, give them that sort of illusion that I think I've realized who that. No, I don't know who that is. I know that face. No, I don't know that face.
Exactly. No,
I can't figure it out. No. So, we can talk, we can mention, I can mention that, also about the mask has the ability to, again, sort of like Batman in that regard, protect you from chemicals and, that type of, any type of fumes and stuff like in your face kind of scenario. So yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else? Let me see. Yeah, what do you think?
The only other interesting thing is that Batman and Mr. Terrific have a rivalry going on.
Right.
And it's a friendly rivalry because bottom line, when it comes to it, they both have companies. The only thing is Bruce Wayne owns Holt Industries.
Bruce is that extra smart guy. That's why he's number 2.
Millions to billions.
There you go.
Billions.
I was gonna say, just leave it at that.
Holt's got to get a thing on his financial things. Of course, Bruce has got, Lucius Fox, right, to keep the company running. Holt doesn't have that. It doesn't seem he has that main person. I think they brought one person on board later on, but that's what he needs when he's running around on adventures. He needs someone to hold the company down.
Mm-hmm. I'll be back.
You can't call a board meeting when you're in a different dimension.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a little problem. Just saying.
True that. So now we get back to fan casting.
Woo-hoo. All right.
I talked a lot, Rod.
Yeah.
Well, on this one.
Okay. Well, let me start off with this. Now, I have my pick. There was a character, there was an individual actor who did play a similarity.
Yes.
To Michael Holt.
Yes.
The character was named Curtis Holt, and he was actually on the Arrow show in Arrowverse. He was there for about 2 or 3 seasons. He came in season 4. Came in mid season 4 and doubled back up in season 5. But he joined the team afterwards along that line and was there. But his name was Curtis Holt. So in that regard, we're going to say, well, that's Curtis Holt. That's not Michael Holt. So we're going to cast for Michael Holt. And who I want to cast for Michael Holt, I wanted to find someone who has the attributes of, because for one, we may have mentioned it, Mr. Terrific, Michael Holt has that type of athletic build. And I'm always that visual type of person. So whenever I'm casting somebody, I want to make sure that who can I get that closely resembles what the actual depiction is in my book, to give him that 3-dimensional, to give him that life, breathing life into him. So I wanted to go with, and I've had this gentleman for another cast, but you know what? Hey, let's introduce him to the DC world. John David Washington.
You like that guy?
I really do like that guy. I really do like that guy. Cause I was looking for, I wanted someone who could just be like deadpan serious and who could just, in a sense, who can have those type of quips and qualms and conversation with Batman. So I need someone who can just take a verbal hit from Batman and give it back as straight and not even flinching. That has to be John David for me. I wanted someone who could basically show some type of emotional connection to people, and how he felt when his wife passed, and how he, definitely for the opening scene, having someone who would be able to portray to me, to pull me in, to say, yeah, I've just lost the love of my life. Why am I still alive? There's no reason for me to be alive. I wanted someone who can pull that, and I felt that he can pull that particular character out for me as well. And just having the ability to, again, with Tenet, having the ability to have the mindset to be that scientifical type of guy, thinking chess playing, 5 steps ahead type of scenario, who's giving the image that, listen, yeah, he's thinking. He ain't saying nothing, but he's thinking. When he talks, you're in trouble. You better leave now. Yes, John David Washington.
All right. I like that. All right, that's cool. I know you use him before. Yeah, I like him. I'm gonna come with my guy here. Let me tell you something about my guy here.
Oh boy, here we go.
My guy's done action.
Mm-hmm.
My guy's done sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
My guy's in 2 main properties.
Okay.
If you see my guy right now, he's got the face. Like when he's shaved and you see him with no beard, he looks like his jawline, his jawbones, and his jaw, his cheekbones and his jaw almost form like he's got a T on his face already.
Okay.
All right, let me hit you with it. Now, I know, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm going to mispronounce this man's name, and I apologize now. Okay? Because I'm looking. So his first name is Babs. B-A-B-S. Babs. His last name, I will spell it out because I really want the effect there. So it's O-L-U-S-A-N-M-O-K-U-N. Babs Osulamakon. Osulamakun.
No, Kun. You go with Kun.
Okay.
Osulamakun. Yeah.
Right. I apologize. Now, anyone listening, you're going to say, Barry, what are you talking about? First of all, this actor was in part 1 of Dune. He was near the fight scene where he challenged the main guy to a knife fight, Paul Mordib to a knife fight. And because he didn't, like how his mom took down the leader of their tribe. He's also on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, playing Dr. M'Benga.
M'Benga, yep.
M'Benga, Dr. M'Benga.
Okay.
Wow. Now, most of the time we see him, he's got his hair up in twists, and he's got a beard. But when you find a picture on him here, shaved with no beard, he's still got his hair in a twist, but he's shaved, and you look at his face, put a T on it. He's played a doctor in Star Trek, intelligence. He's played an underground warrior in Dune, in a knife fight, action. Enough said. This guy to me is Michael Holt. This is Mr. Terrific.
Okay.
That's who I'm going with.
That's who you're going with.
Okay. Yeah, he's a Nigerian actor. Been on the scene in 2017. He did a Black Museum. He's done episodes. And here's the point. Mr. Terrific, the character was created in June. Gemini. The birthday of Babs is June 14th. The same birthday as me, Barry 3D, June 14th. He's a Gemini. So let me blow your mind that I'm a June 14th Gemini. Fan casting another June 14th Gemini. For a character who was created and made his debut in The Spectre in June, Gemini.
Yeah.
2 + 2 + 2 is 6.
All right, 6 out of 6. All right, okay. I see what you're trying to do there. All right, Babs is a good character. He's a good actor. Yeah, I'm gonna be. That'll be an interesting run. He will have the intellectual visual. He will have the action. Yeah. He'll have the. I will even add, again, having that pulling that sorrow from Strange New Worlds with his daughter and everything like that from the character from there. So okay, all right. I see what you're doing. All right, I'll just give it to you. If you seeing that you're trying to lay out someone's June Gemini, June Gemini. I was like, This guy's coming with a, he's coming with a stack of cards. He's all ready. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna fight this one. I'm gonna let this one go. I'm not gonna fight. Not me, Papi.
But that one, when I saw all that lining up, I'm like, hey, this is the actor. And I saw him in his thing. I'm like, wait, June 14th? I'm June 14th. He's June 14th. I'm June 14th. Let me look at this character. This character was made his debut in June? What? Oh.
I'm like, I'm okay, Papi. I'm all right. I'm going to stay over here.
I'm going to show my boy, man, another comedian, Kwesi Thomas. Kwesi, that's my comedian twin right there because his birthday's what? June 14th out in Vancouver. Look him up, Kwesi Thomas, man. And if you don't know who Kwesi is, watch Snowpiercer. He's the only brother on that show. On Netflix. That's
okay.
Thomas.
Okay.
From Montreal, man.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Gemini
okay.
Power. 2 times activate. Now here's my last question for you, Rod. So you cast
so John David Washington.
Well, John David Washington. Okay, so if you're turning around, and here's my last question on you, and we'll get wrapping this up. When it comes down to it, you see John David Washington. Are you looking at this as a series? Are you looking at it as a movie? How you seeing this kind of playing out with Michael Holt?
I want this to be a movie.
Okay.
Right now, I want to see this as a movie, and basically having introduce him into the DC universe. Okay. So we can build on him for other, not even saying guest appearance, but basically because since they're rebuilding the DC universe,
right?
James, you're rebuilding. Add this Mr. Terrific to your foundation. I'm just saying, this would be a perfect time. You come with that storyline from there. It will be very far left for people who just don't know who that character is. But that's perfect. We're introducing you to someone that you need to know, and then when you start to realize the intertwining he has, his name, his character, with Days of Old, Justice Society, and the Justice League, how he intertwines in there. Yeah, you'll start to realize, like, well, it does kind of make sense. You got a billionaire, you got a guy who's super strong, you got an Amazon warrior, you got the fastest guy. Yes. Maybe Cyborg could take the science aspect, but he's really not the science. He's just really more of just the connecting tissue to the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a science type guy.
No.
You're going to need someone to start putting stuff together. Mr. Terrific. I'm just saying. Right.
See, I agree with you on that one. So if I had to go with it, as I said, I'm going with my guy Baps. And with Baps, I would simply say this. I was debating between a series and a movie. I'm always going series, but this time I think a good, well done movie. But once again, if I'm going to see a movie, I could see a trilogy easy with this character.
Facts.
On his own, right? So first movie, Mr. Terrific, do the whole origin thing. Bring in the Spectre. You got to have crossovers. You can't just not represent the rest of the even though they're small roles. You got to bring certain people in there. So you got to have the Spectre make his appearance. You have to have Terry Sloan kind of make an appearance in a flashback in the Spectre story. Let that come out. Movie one is pretty much an origin story. Set up a good couple of characters for him and parlay that. Okay. Movie number 2, bring him back. He's more established. Make it known that, hey, man, Bruce Wayne bought my company. Let him know that Bruce Wayne, him and Batman know. Let that get
there's a connection.
Even if Bruce Wayne only shows up without being Batman in the boardroom and they have the conversation about that, let it show that's a friendly rivalry. Don't let it be, I hate him because he owns my company. Nothing like that. But right. Movie number 2, let it really focus, be a crisis of faith. Faith versus science. I really want to see that play out. To really get to the roots of why he won't believe and why he's atheist, and let it get there. And it might get a little bit dark for him, self-reflection, but that's what I want to see. So movie 1, origin. Movie 2, really character building, right? And dealing with that. And then movie 3, over the top, let it be the formation of the Terrifics.
Okay.
That's it. Something comes up, let the Terrifics come in there, let them form the Terrifics, because that would also gateway bringing in multiple other characters that would not ever get an appearance in a Justice League movie or even a Justice Society movie, regardless of what they're doing with the universe. But it would still bring in those characters, and it would have free reign to represent Java the caveman, Stag, his daughter, right, who's dating Metamorph, right? So it'd give a chance for those characters to really make an appearance in there. Plastic Man with his son Offspring. Don't have to dedicate a full movie to Plastic Man,
right?
or series. I don't know.
A good mention. A good mention. A good mention. A
Right.
good appearance and mention. Yeah. Okay.
Right. But if you turn around and you let them form the Terrifics and let him really be the focal point and have the Terrifics in there and establish that's gonna be kind of an exploratory movie to get into the Dark Matter universe, then you've just opened up the DC universe without giving away any of your big guns, but it's still done in a way that respects the audience and the people that are going to pay the money to go and see it.
Got it.
So that's what I'm saying. Three picture deal, boom. Origin, Crisis of Faith, boom, and then bring in the Terrifics. I think those are the points that really represent and stand out with this character, first and foremost.
Okay. I could see that. Like, I see what you're saying. Definitely with the origin and then the battle in the faith. Because we were definitely talking about that, and yeah, I guess we could. Yeah, definitely. I guess see a whole storyline, a whole arc on that, and just trying to build him from that, going from 1 to 2. Yeah. Okay.
Because the first thing you want to do is establish a character. Okay, you don't want to overwhelm the audience. And then the second one, it's like, okay, well, let's have some fun. Right? This is really where he stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you can bring in other secondary characters that don't get a main mention anymore. You could bring in like Zor-El, who is an angel that was on the Justice League when Grant Morrison was writing it, because that character took that role of Hawkman, who was a fallen angel. Right, because he wasn't there later on, and then the character kind of disappeared. So that's where you want to introduce that particular character and let them kind of work on something together. Once again, they're smaller characters that you give them a bigger role. Look at what the CW did with Arrow.
Yeah, completely.
Right? It took Arrow and made him like Batman, but then it brought in all these other characters that we would never have gotten a chance to really see in a big budget. Well, when I say big budget, let me refirm that. I'll correct myself. In a big storyline with Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, because before you get to these characters, there's other characters within those three
in that realm
mythos that you got to bring in. If you're going to bring in a character, everyone's going to say, well, you can't bring in, for example, Mr. Terrific in a Wonder Woman movie. You got to bring in something like, Artemis, and you have to bring in Wonder Girl. And you've got to bring in those characters. You can't bring in, you can have Batman and not mention Nightwing, Robin, and multiple Robins.
Facts.
Lucius Fox, Pennyworth, Catwoman. You're not going to, so you have to find a way that's going to be smart to bring it in. So that's my pitch.
Okay.
How to do that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay then. Yeah, okay, cool.
Gemini! He's going to kill me on that one. Oh, man. Any last words, Rod?
Let's see now. Definitely, I want to say to everyone, hope you enjoyed what you've heard. I would believe that we brought to you some good content regarding Mr. Terrific and giving you a good understanding who this character is and how he can be introduced into the DC universe, basically onto a big screen production, and how he is, as I said at the very last part, if you're going to start breaking these shows down and these characters down, what are their roles, not only physically as a fighter, but they have to have duels and multiple different roles, or whatever. What are their other strong points? You're going to need someone who's going to be that scientist guy. That's the guy who's going to be able to put 2 and 2 together and thinking, quantum physics type of, calculations. Yes, as I said, Cyborg could do that, but that's more of him just reading it versus
creating it.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's like with any understanding of experience. Michael Holt may not have the experience, but he has the aptitude to understand, to put this together. That would make sense to me, be faster than what Cyborg could have done.
True. Facts. I'll leave it on this. So Marvel had a big blow blockbuster with the original Black Panther movie when it came out, right? DC, you need to come back with something. And I'm not saying it's a competition, but in a way, you're always trying to push your characters forward. So with Black History Month, this is the character we're pushing. If you're going to do a movie, that's where you got to go, is Mr. Terrific. It's going to be a little bit different, but keep in mind, Black Panther made his appearance in Fantastic Four, and the Terrifics are kind of the Fantastic Four in DC. So DC,
could
make it work. You got it. And imagine how visually appealing it will be on top of how well written. You write it well, you put in the effects, you got a hit.
Yeah.
You got a sleeper hit. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So,
facts.
You You execs at DC, James, go back, read some books, put it together. Here we go. Once again, my name is Barry 3D. I'm here with my cousin as always.
Rod C. Hoo-ha!
This is the Iconist Podcast. And as I said, the icon was Mr. Terrific, Michael Holt. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. You can help the channel grow by going onto our Patreon page or doing a one-time tip on our coffee page. The links are all down below. Happy Black History Month. Come on, get some knowledge, spread the love. It's all about that and awareness. It's not saying one person is better than the other. It's just about making awareness and enjoying the culture. So for, anyone that's not part of, not Black, go order some patties, get some jerk chicken, and sit down and enjoy it. Have some ackee and saltfish, and we good. Right? Okay, cool. And for those of us who are, well, enjoy that too, but they get extra spicy and give it to our friends who haven't had jerk chicken before. I don't know what the spice is and can't handle it like in Dune. Once again, I call back to my character. It's all about the spice.
It's all about the spice. Ay, caramba. Okay. Oh, boy.
These years away.
Oh, my eye.